All right, welcome back. This is We Play Games. This is the Vicky 3 Academy. This is trade policy law. So here we are. I'm going to start us off on this slide, but we're going to very briefly just go over each of these things, and then I'll tell you kind of like what that means. So mercantilism means that of course we have this 30% bonus tariff on imports. We can make it almost impossible to sell goods for us to us. On the other hand, we can make it fairly inexpensive for people to pick goods up from us. Over here, we can make it so that we're no matter what, we're going to be able to apply a tariff to quite a meaningful amount of trade. So if we want, this is one where we like force the AI to use their convoys for us. I think mercantilism is pretty strong under the current setup for the AI. I think as it gets better at trade, the mercantilism got worse. Protectionism is pretty good. Tariff on imports, just like this is a very flat. This is flat. This is specialized. So I think that because this one is flat, I would put actually protectionism as in general being weaker than mercantilism in the vacuum. That isn't quite the same thing though, because protectionism is supported by like different IGs than mercantilism is, and that's worth thinking about. But it's another one of these things where it's just got like imports and exports tariffs. So free trade route volume is going to be really helpful if you're doing an awful lot of trade. So if you're selling a whole lot of items to China, for instance, then free trade is very, very good. The trade route bureaucracy cost is also going to be really helpful there. Trade route competitiveness could be helpful depending on what's going on with the AI. So the big thing with free trade, of course, is that the government is not going to be able to apply a whole lot of tariffs to any tariffs to the items that are going to be traded. So you kind of can't really do the same kind of manipulation of AI behavior that you can with these two. So unless you're very confident with the current setup of your economy, I would be careful about using free trade. It could go very well for you, but it could also blow up in your face. Isolationism, this one is the one that Japan starts with, for instance. It's mostly just cool flavor, and it gives you a giant amount of authority that you can then throw around to fight the shogunate. But it's pretty bad because at least it's pretty bad insofar as actually no I would put it as pretty bad most of the time because the tech spread penalty is a big deal. Tech spread is no joke to give up, and 50% authority is very good, but as the game goes on, if you're trying to play strong, you're going to try to minimize the amount of authority that you have and maximize the amount of democratic stuff that you have going on, because it just lets you like have kind of whoever you want to in your government. It gives you a lot more flexibility and power. So as I said, I'm going to very briefly, we're at 3 minutes. I'm going to try to make this a 5-minute video. Very, very briefly talk about how trade works. So here in the market tab, we see trade routes. You can do an import route, which brings some amount of goods from somewhere else to you. And then an export route, which takes some amount of goods from you and sells to somebody else. What do you do with those? Well, you're moving them around. So the goods that you're moving around via trading are going to adjust your balance. You can sell them to make your balance smaller or buy them to make your balance bigger. And that generally will adjust things like your SOL and the cost for government goods. I would largely stay away from trading in consumer goods and make the AI do that for you. That's why what is in your laws is so important, because what's in your laws is going to determine these tariff policies here. So if you're on the leftmost one, this says a tariff on exports. So what that means is if anyone tries to come by and buy our grain, they'll have to pay a little 10% bonus on that. So we get a little bit of extra money if someone comes by to buy our grain, not a ton. This is not going to hold the resource for us quite as well as it would under protectionism. But on the other hand, this one is going to like stonewall blockade anyone. No one will ever be able to sell grain to us because they would have to pay 30% extra on imports. Because they can't sell to us, maybe they could buy from us. And then this one is just like the average of those things. And so what that's telling you right there is that mercantilism, this one is the one that has the most tools for preventing the AI from selling to you. But I don't find that a particularly huge problem right now. I'm not super worried if they're selling to me. But the exports are also not particularly high here. I think the AI largely is still working on trade policy, and so that most of what you can do with trade policy is really just how best can you utilize your trade routes to maintain your balances. And I think that the trade policy law that you have, as long as it is not one of those two, kind of not a big difference in terms of how it will affect AI behavior. All right, that's Walker. 5.5 minutes. That's fine. That's trade policy. Bye.